slice up again?
No, I did that, but go ahead because I can slice it.
Lori Branch would be the first. Lori started, I don't know, I think we started about the same year, but maybe she started in one part of the year and I started later on.
Okay.
But Lori would be the first.
Okay, my bad.
So I'm
Sorry,
one of the
Lori.
first.
I
One
didn't
of
know.
the first.
I did not know. I'm from Detroit. I am ignorant. I apologize, and absolutely no disrespect to you.
None taken.
So I apologize. So tell me, how did you get into this DJ thing? Why did you get into this DJ thing?
I think innately, I always was interested in playing music, broadcast. I wanted to be a radio disc jockey.
Really?
Yeah, and I worked at, I lived in Hyde Park, and Hyde Park is the campus town for the University of Chicago.
Okay.
And the University of Chicago had its own radio station.
Okay.
WHPK. A lot of people might know WHPK. Mix shows. They used to do mix shows and everything.
Okay.
I think that's so. My mother had a friend. His name was TJ the DJ, and he did a Sunday show. It was, a Sunday's R&B,
Okay.
steppers type of show.
And y'all gets down with the stepping in Chicago.
Yes, we do. And I was about 13, 14 years old, and I took an interest in what TJ was doing at the radio station after meeting him. And he eventually brought me on as his record girl. So I would pull the records, put them back, run the PSAs. But you used to also have to have a broadcaster's license to do certain things. You couldn't have your voice on the air without having at least a third-class broadcasting license.
Did not know that.
Back in those days. And we're talking mid-70s,
Okay.
early to mid-70s. And so you could not get a third-class broadcasting license from the FAA at that time unless you were over the age of 18, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Unless you had sponsorship. So with this being a radio campus, a campus radio station, he got the sponsorship for me to apply for my third class broadcasting license, and I got that at 15 years old.
So it's really not what you know, it's who you know in some instances.
In the greater majority of instances, but that's with life, you know that.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so I became the record girl for TJ the DJ on his Sunday radio show. I would go there every Sunday, pull his records, put the records back, run the PSAs, and every now and then I would do some of the live PSAs on air with him. And I think that was kind of my introduction to wanting to be in broadcasting.
Okay.
I don't know what happened with me pursuing that later on down the line because I was only 13, 14, 15 years old. I did it for about 3 years.
Okay.
Musically, I was totally in tune with the whole stepping thing.
Okay.
And stepping in Chicago back in those days, stepping became a way to bridge the gap between a lot of segregation and gang violence that was going on.
Really?
Yeah. So stepping battles or competitions.
Wait a minute. That is Walk the Night.
That's Walk the Night.
That's one of the best, well-constructed songs I've ever heard. And then I found out what it was about, and I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Happy Pride Month, everybody. So one of the reasons why that got me kind of interested was because you said Hyde Park was really culturally diverse.
It was one of the Chicago. A lot of people that don't, a lot of people that have never been there before or never lived there before. Chicago is probably segregated cities in the United States, to be honest with you.
That's like Detroit. It really is.
I mean, there were race riots and all that other type of stuff going on back in the 60s when I was a little girl. And I'm dating myself here, so just
but it don't
to let
matter because
everybody
black
know.
don't crack and she looks fabulous. I don't give a hell. Celeste is 175 years old in real life.
She said 175.
175.
Okay, I'm gonna take that.
And look at that. Clean skin. No wrinkles at all. No crow's feet, no nothing. I hope to look as good as you whenever I get to your 27 years of living. So, because Hyde Park was so culturally diverse, did you have a culturally diverse music, eclectic like taste?
I was fortunate. Hyde Park was also very artistic, very culturally diverse, and musically just brilliant. I was blessed. I was raised with the children of such jazz artists like Oscar Brown Jr., Willie Pickens, the pianist, Jimmy Ellis, the trumpeter. All of them who played and grew up in my neighborhood, and I was raised with their children.
Okay.
So Maggie Brown, the singer, was Oscar Brown Jr.'s daughter.
I heard none of these people, but I know they're famous. I just never heard of them.
Bethany Pickens, the jazz pianist.
Okay.
Her father, Willie Pickens.
Now that name I've heard of.
We all went from like kindergarten through high school together. So, and there was an apartment in my building where another brother named Corky Brown lived at, and he had a band, and he was very integrated with Oscar Brown Jr. and all of them, and they used to practice in that house all the time, in that apartment, in that first floor apartment in our building. So I was brought up around a lot of different music, but mainly it was jazz.
So, would you consider those your musical influences?
I would say that, yeah, they were very heavy musical influences when I didn't know that they were influences. Because for me, it was just what was going on in the building. It was what they did, and you know, they were the uncles that always gave me ice cream money. So,
did you find that jazz plays a major role in what you play and how you play?
I think as I get older and more mellow, I think I'm more in tune with the sounds that came from jazz.
Okay.
I think that I identify with those sounds a lot more. Like, my dad played the saxophone, so saxophone does something for me, you know. So yeah, I would think now, I think it's coming out a lot more in my mature years. I can hear those influences. If it did anything though, it broadened my ear. It broadened my spectrum for what I would listen to and what I wouldn't listen to. Because if you can go from being the stone cold stepping thug that I was in my teenage years to in my early adult years, latching on to what is now known house music and DJing and playing and being so immersed in the culture, that takes some type of open-minded diversity to go to one side to another, because they are totally innately different.
They are. So with that being said, how did you make your foray into becoming a DJ? Who were your DJ influences? Your house music DJ influences.
My first influence that piqued my interest in learning the technical skill of DJing would have been Steve Hurley. We went to college together.
Wow. And you know, I thought Steve Hurley was way younger than me.
Steve and I are the same age. And we went to college together.
Wow.
And I thought he was the finest man I had ever met in my life. I literally enrolled in classes that he had that weren't even within my majors as electives just to be close to this man because I thought Steve Hurley was fine. I had a crush on Steve
She had a crush on you, dude.
He knows it. Steve and I ended up being very, very good friends. And all Steve would talk about was hot mixing. And I didn't know what that was. And I asked him what it was, and he described it to me and told me what it was. And I was like, interesting. So do girls do it? You know, and he was like, well, he said the rumor is that they can't. And I said,
are you serious?
I said that they can't? He says, yeah, but it's just a rumor. It's a myth because my younger sister, I taught her how to do it and she could play her ass off. But Steve had really, really strict parents. So Steve and I had to have been 19 years old at this time. And he still had a curfew at 19 years old.
Is that the one that told the story that he had to sneak out the window at night?
Yeah.
I don't know who told me that story.
We used to sneak him out the house.
Wow.
We used to sneak him out the house. So he has a younger sister. Her name is Angela Hurley. Or it was Angela Hurley. I forget what Angie's last name is now. But eventually, some years later, Angie would end up being in an all-female hot mix group that I was in. Myself, Chrissy, who was known as the First Lady.
Okay. And again, my total apologies. No disrespect whatsoever. And I just can't apologize enough. Because all I've been posting on Facebook is Chicago's First Lady DJ, Chicago's First Lady DJ.
Chrissy adopted the name First Lady because she actually has a broadcast career. Okay. So she's very rich in the broadcast culture, black radio broadcast culture in Chicago.
Okay.
She went to school for it and everything, so rightfully so. Rick Lenore, the producer, he has a younger sister named Kenya Lenore. Okay. She was in the group. And then there was another girl named Berlando. And
I like the name.
So it was myself, Chrissy, Kenya, Angie, and Berlando. So it was really 5 of us in the Fantastic Four. And that was the name of the all-female hot mix group that we were in. But one really couldn't do the parties because her parents were strict. So, but there was the Fantastic Four.
That's awesome.
But when Steve told me about hot mixing, showed me a little bit, I started realizing that there were guys in the neighborhood that I knew, that I always knew, and they actually had DJs set up and were doing it themselves. There was a guy named Steve Duplain. He lived around the corner from me. Another, Keith Fobbs. Keith Fobbs is Andre Hatchett's protege. Well, I had been knowing Keith all my life. That's actually how I met Andre Hatchett.
So wait a minute, who's older, Andre or Tony?
Tony.
Okay.
Tony and I are the same age.
Okay. And I just love Andre Hatchett. He's so cute and little.
So eventually I met Andre. He kind of took me under his wing. And Keith, like I said, Keith and I known each other all our lives. Our parents knew each other. We grew up in the same neighborhood, lived a few blocks away from each other. And Andre took me underneath his wing, and that's when I started actually learning the basics of how to mix.
Did it take you a long time? Because I know when you started, you definitely was on wax.
I was definitely, there was no other medium.
It seems so hard. Like, somebody tried to teach me how to do it on wax. I'm like, I can't catch that beat. I can't do it.
It was hard. It was hard. And learning the basics and that the repetitiveness and the drills that Andre would put me through in order to learn these things. It was hard.
Okay.
And it was especially hard because when I first started, we didn't have sliding pitch control.
Is that the hold on, don't tell me.
1200s.
Something with a rubber band or something like that?
No, they had
belt drive. That's
they had, right. You either had the belt drive turntables but they didn't have the pitch controls like the 1200 had.
Okay.
They had these little wheels on the side of the turntable that you would push one way or another.
So it was really intense.
So it was totally different. So there was a lot more hand involvement on the platter, you know, and then that was when the battle culture was also out. So hip hop developed around the same time that house music really started developing.
It really did.
And they crossed over. The cultures crossed over earlier.
And you know what came to mind immediately? Mr. Lee.
Yeah.
Man, when I first heard Get Busy, I was in love.
The cultures crossed over a lot in the early 80s. Hip hop became, rap and hip hop became different because the BPMs and the culture of it was a little bit different, and house kind of took on the BPMs and the club movement of, disco and dance music. So, but they kind of started out at about the same time. So I could very easily remember playing stuff like Dim Dada or Jam On It. Doom,
right.
doom, doom, doom.
Yeah.
Doom, 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 doom. I can remember playing those things.
Okay.
Along with stuff like, Mafumbe and This Beat Is Mine, and
you can have it.
yeah, and using the Mix Your Own Stars 117, the ba-boom, clap, 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 ba-boom, clap, 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 using those things, and we had battles back then, and tricks were used, the scratching and the cutting and everything, stuff that you don't really see done in house music now, because house music is about having a continuous dance flow musically and being able to blend together and make it one.
And that's so hard.
Right. But the battle culture was the same.
Okay.
So the scratching and the cutting and the tricks and all that other stuff, those were the things that I knew how to do back in those days. I learned how to do back in those days, but I don't do that no more.
You done growed up now.
I don't. Well, it's just not part of the DJ culture for dance music as we know it.
Now, with that being said, I gotta ask you, and you can't punk out, not an option. I need your 5 Chicago top house DJs. Any genre of house, but it's gotta be a house DJ, and it's gotta be your top 5, and you can be one of the top 5. You don't need to explain why, nothing.
Okay. Living or
dead. Now, what you can't name those that's done gone on to glory already. Not all 5 of them.
No,
some of them gotta still be alive.
Okay. I'm gonna have to first give it to Andre Hatchett.
Understandable.
And I will explain this. I think pound for pound, blend for blend, with natural ability, Andre Hatchett had the most pure ear, the most pure skill set that I'd ever seen or heard in my life. Ever since and since.
Wow.
Andre's abilities were just pure ability.
So I'm gonna pause right there because I'm a big Chosen Few fan, and not just because of their music, but because of the collective that they put together. But I gotta ask, who started DJing first, Andre or Tony?
Tony.
Okay.
Andre used to sneak and use the equipment when Tony and them weren't there.
Did Tony used to beat him up and stuff?
I don't know if he ever beat him up, but Andre used to sneak and use that equipment. Andre just picked it up and started doing it.
Wow. That's
But
awesome.
Tony was actively DJing.
Okay, because it was Tony and Wayne that started the Chosen Few.
Chosen Few was started with Wayne, Tony, and Alan. And I think there was somebody else in the Chosen Few that may not be there anymore, but I know definitely Wayne, Tony, and Alan.
Okay.
And that was when they were the Chosen Few Disco Corporation. And yeah, that was their original name, Chosen Few Disco Corporation.
Like the Chicago Transit Authority,
Yeah,
which
it
is
was
now
the Chosen
just
Few.
Chicago.
It was the Chosen Few Disco Corporation.
That I love learning new stuff.
And so Andre, Frankie Knuckles,
obviously.
Ron Trent. You said 5.
5. That's Andre.
3. That's 3.
Frankie Knuckles, Ron Trent. That's 3. This is my favorite question.
You said I can't name myself?
You can name yourself.
I'm gonna name myself.
Alright, I ain't mad at you.
Cause can't nobody move me like I can move me.
Absolutely.
That's so I'll add myself. That 5th. From Chicago only.
Yep.
Big Lavender.
I knew you was gonna say Vic Lavender. I swear, as God is my witness and on the souls of my children, I said she gonna say Vic Lavender.
Big Lavender.
Let me tell you something. As musical director of the Summer Oasis, I think the best move ever made was to bring Vic Lavender. And I've only been to one, but Vic Lavender is woo. I saw that man change day into night, effortlessly.
I did that.
You did a great job.
I bought Big Lavender, the Summer Oasis,
Now, if you had to say something to your fellow DJ brothers and sisters, from your heart to their ears, what would you like to say to them?
Always keep your intention and your relationship and your devotion to the music first.
Because what did he say? Once you
believe that you're bigger than the music, you've lost the touch.
Yeah, I think
that's a pretty always
cool
keep
saying.
your intention, your devotion. Always keep that true to who you are,
and true to who
you are in relationship with the music.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And where are some of your favorite spots to play around Chicago or Detroit?
I haven't done any real, I've done parties in Detroit, but I have never done like a real big party in Detroit. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Todd, she said, okay, listen, Celeste said she hasn't done a big party in Detroit. So, Celeste would be an absolutely awesome addition to Chosen Few. Wrong collective. Charivari, I'm still working on no sleep. Don't hate me because I'm still sleeping. Anyway, let's talk about it when you get back from Arizona. Call me.
I love, and I have loved playing in New York. I love the East Coast culture. I love their relationship with music and dance on the East Coast. I love the diversity of it and how the diversity is not really segregated.
Yeah.
And if it is segregated,
you don't really
the
know.
music does not allow the segregation. I think that Chicago is so politically charged and so deeply rooted in segregation and separation that we always, in communication with each other, even in the same culture of music, we always find a way to define ourselves by segregating ourselves.
Right,
you from the west side, you from the south side, you from the north side, you from this area. And it's real hard for something so deep rooted to be broken up. I think that music has the ability, and it's probably one of the only things that does have the ability to break down all of those barriers.
But it's the people behind
But
the music.
when you see them on the dance floor and they're just relating to the music, there is no segregation.
Nope.
But when they walk out the door, they still have to walk out into a segregated lifestyle.
But while we're there, we're all
But while we're
united in
there,
house.
we're united. So I strongly believe that there are three things in life that are the greatest things, or there are three things in life. There's love. There's hate. And there's music.
Love, faith, and music. That's some shit right there. That's something, and you're right on all levels. Now, if you can talk to the dancers, the fans, the people. I remember one time Miss Nikki told me, you give them a little something of what they like, you give them a little something of what you like. And that way you keep the crowd going. So what is your, two questions. What is your go-to song when you see the floor isn't moving the way you want them to move?
I don't have one.
Okay, and the second question is, if you had a DJ superhero theme song, what would it be?
I wouldn't have one.
Okay, fair enough.
There would
fair
be no way to have just one.
Okay, fair enough.
I have a mantra, and my mantra is connecting musical souls one blend at a time.
Oh, I like that. Did y'all hear that? She said, connecting musical souls one blend at a time. Profoundly awesome. I love this lady. I sat on the phone and I talked to Celeste. Had to be about for an hour. And it was the best lesson I've had in a long time. Celeste Alexander is truly remarkable. And I'm not just talking about her because she can make the best potato salad I've ever had in my life. Celeste she's good-hearted people through and through. And to sit down and talk to Celeste is to get a lesson in love. It really is. When I saw you, and I say that to say, when I saw you at Summer Oasis, and I wrote it too, when you DJ, it's like you still protected. You're watching the crowd. Tell me, what I said was, you play like you are talking on the telephone, watching the stories, checking on the kids outside while you got the food cooking, and you got low clothes, you gotta go, and you do it effortlessly. Effortlessly. And I can't say that I have a favorite female DJ at all, because I love them all. Like, I love all of you guys. But it's just something about, oh Lord.
I'm sorry, you popping up on the player.
My new
I'm
favorite
popping up on
brother.
Let me tell you something
This
about
is
me.
my sister.
I don't know what y'all got in the water in Chicago with ours,
Listen,
but
I'll let you finish popping up on this player right here, but I love her.
I love her too.
Glad to
That's
see her.
Y'all doing too much.
I know,
Y'all doing too much.
right.
Cut. It's a wrap.
All right, look, we'll catch y'all in traffic. I'm
It's
about
a
to go
wrap.
get my
They doing too
spot.
much now. I can't take it. I can't take it.
Eric. Your wife is a banger, okay? But when I come to Chicago in July, I need some ribs
And some potato salad.
and some potato
Like,
salad.
like I don't DJ. Potato salad. That's all they know. I